the canyon's edge. The scar of Vraxis yawned before them like the maw of a primordial beast. Neon-lit cliffs clawed at a bruised sky, their edges crumbling into violet mist that swallowed boulders whole, reducing them to glowing embers. 12 alien students stood frozen at the precipice, their exosuits humming with futile caution. Among them, Arya Sato, a human girl with grease-streaked gloves and a fusion torch slung across her back, grinned like she'd been handed a puzzle. The overseer's voice boomed from unseen speakers, metallic and cold: "Survive the scar. Cross it, or forfeit your place in the Galactic Ascendancy." Arya's fingers twitched. "They want a show?" she muttered. "Let's give them fireworks." 24 hours earlier, the Interstellar Academy had been a glittering monument to galactic unity. Its crystalline spires housed species from 1,000 worlds, telepathic mirrored with iridescent skin, hulking Vorthax whose scales shimmered like oil, and Arya the lone human, her tools deemed quaint by sneering peers. "Your kind still uses wheels," a Vorthax had spat, looming over her workstation. Arya hadn't looked up from welding a thruster nozzle. "Funny. Wheels built the first bridges." The reptilian alien hissed, but she'd already moved on, scribbling equations on her wrist pad. When the Kelthari overseers announced the trial, their insectoid mandibles clacking in unison, the chamber fell silent. "Traverse the scar of Vraxis," they intoned. "Tools and materials will be provided. Fail, and your species' honor dies with you." Arya's pulse quickened. She'd seen the scar's holograms, a canyon seething with storm plasma, a substance that devoured anti-grav tech like acid. 48 hours. The other students scoffed. Humans, after all, were newcomers to the galactic stage, their history written in blood and stubbornness. Arya didn't care. Stubbornness built civilizations. Now, at the canyon's edge, chaos reigned. The Vorthax team launched a graphene zip line across the chasm, only to watch the storm plasma melt it into molten slag. Mirrored students levitated on telekinetic discs, their minds straining until a plasma surge ignited the air, hurling them back with screams. Arya ignored the carnage. Her wristpad flickered, mapping the scar's horrors 2-mile depth. Acid winds, pH 0.3. Ferro rock fracturing at 37-second intervals. Then she saw a crumbling stone arch, half buried in the cliffside. "We're not crossing," she barked at her reluctant mirror teammate, whose third eye glared distrust. "We're outsmarting it. Scan the ferro rock's resonance frequency. Now." The alien hesitated. "Your plan reeks of human recklessness. And your plan reeks of burning alive," Arya shot back, already slinging carbon fiber cables over her shoulder. "Move." They worked like demons. Arya's plan was madness wrapped in calculus, a suspension bridge anchored to the arch, stabilized by the canyon's own magnetic turbulence. Step 1: fire grappling hooks coated in nano-adhesive across the gap. The cables hissed, biting into stone. Step 2: repurpose kinetic dampeners as sonic hammers, driving alloy beams into the ferro rock. The Vorthax noticed. A boulder crashed toward Arya, hurled by scaled hands. She ducked, her exosuit sparking as debris shredded its shoulder. "Focus!" she roared, welding a crossbeam with an overloaded fusion torch. Thermite flared, searing her gloves. Her hands blistered, but the bridge took shape, a spiderweb of carbon and defiance. Then the storm hit. Plasma writhed like living lightning, shearing through a support cable. The bridge lurched. Arya didn't hesitate. She ripped the power core from her exosuit and jammed it into the failing stabilizer. Energy arced, scorching her sleeves. Humanity didn't conquer Earth by playing safe. She screamed into the maelstrom. We burned our way forward. The bridge held. 7 minutes later, they stood on the far side, the scar howling beneath them. The Kelthari overseers approached, their carapaces humming in dissonant harmony, a sound never before directed at a human. Your improvisation exceeds parameters, one rasped. Explain. Arya held up her wrist pad, its screen cracked and smoldering. You gave us nano-adhesive. We turned it into a conductor. You gave us dampeners. We turned them into hammers. She glanced at the Vorthax student, who stared at the ground, scales dull with shame. Humans don't see tools. We see possibilities. As the overseers retreated, the bridge began to dissolve, its nano-adhesive lifespan spent. Arya didn't look back. Ahead, the academy's spire gleamed, its doors open wide. Behind, in the scar's shadowed depths, something ancient stirred, a bioluminescent eye, vast and unblinking, watching the human who dared to bridge the impossible.